Can psychedelics make me spiritual? So first we want to start off by asking, like, what is spirituality? And the short answer is yes, they can, but they don't always. And there's a good reason why. So when people ask or will judge that person spiritual, like what makes someone spiritual? Is it clothes they wear? Is it the way they act? Is it the things they say or do? Yes and no, but what it really comes down to is self-awareness. You know, and I find that people who are, the more spiritual you are, the more self-aware you are. And a lot of things that we do, sometimes we have a spiritual ego that try to prove I'm more spiritual than you. I think Alan Watts talks about this a lot more. But we're all spiritual. And what has happened is many of us have lost our connection to spirit. Like when we're born, we're really tapped in most of the time. Things will happen in our life that will separate us, create this noise, make us want to make money based on fear. And, you know, the fear is kind of at the opposite of spirituality, which is like detachment and no fear and going into faith. You know, are you spiritual? Absolutely. Every single person is spiritual. Are you aware of your connection to this greater being, the creator, your higher self? That is the question. And that's kind of the process of becoming spiritual is deepening your connection with yourself and something greater than you. And so where do psychedelics come in? Well, there's a scientific side of it, and then there's, I guess, the experiential side of it as well. Many people say that the devil resides in your ego. It's that fear, that questioning, that thing that comes up that makes you be afraid, have the self-talk. So operating out of fear, which is creating this disconnection based on the things that have happened to us. You know, the ego is formed as a survival mechanism, but it also has this way of kind of like keeping us safe, but also keeping us in fear. And when we do things like psychedelics or even breath work, that part of the brain shuts off completely. The default mode network shuts off where we go deeper into the subconscious mind. The default mode network, again, is that analytical brain where we ruminate, where we think, we have all these fears come up. And we've seen in psychedelic experiences, science has shown, and breath work, that shuts off completely. This different kind of synchronization starts happening within the left and right hemisphere, and different parts of the brain light up. So we can really kind of see beyond that lens of the ego. Now, also psychedelic experiences could create a stronger ego. So people have these God complexes or feel like they become invincible. But it really depends on how we use the psychedelics. So learn more about ourselves, to deepen that self-awareness, to see where the fear is coming up and actually causing us to react in certain ways, create these patterns and beliefs, but not just ourselves, about the world we live in. Something that happens to us, it's not that that thing is following us around, it's the belief that we make about that. We plant in our ego, this operating system. Now it's like, scan for threats, I'm afraid, I'm going to react, I'm going to defend myself. And what I found is through the use of psychedelics, plant medicines, things like, you know, ayahuasca or San Pedro or even LSD, and there's many others. And just to be clear, I'm not recommending anyone use it. They can be dangerous. So you have to check the legality where you are, and also, you know, work with a practitioner, because these are becoming more and more available with proper guidance. And you never want to do them alone. You also want to have a sitter. But they can definitely open up those doors of perception, like Aldous Huxley talked about. And you can connect with yourself in a way, and you might be able to see these things that are holding you back, or sometimes even see who you've become in your life that's totally out of alignment with the true alignment, which is more aligned to nature than to the Western mind and the world and creating and dominance and winning and all these things. We all split for a reason at some point in our life. This is what my teachers have taught me. And we're born into this world kind of connected, and we have a split. And then the ego kind of gets formed. And we have all these fears, and it brings us on this thing. And the whole point is to kind of remerge with your soul or your higher self, your ego, through all the lessons you learn through that fear that's kind of pushing you to evolve in a certain way. And psychedelics can be an amazing tool to help you have that perspective. Meditation can work as well. So can breath work. But psychedelics sometimes feels like it's a bit of a shortcut, maybe. But at the same time, it can be really intense, or too much all at once. It can open some things that you're going to have to put a lot of work in. So it's important that you have an integration process to bring these things back into your life. And, you know, a lot of the spiritual texts talk about the same things: being integral, being a good person, and really just detaching from fear and detaching from like beliefs that are holding you back and limiting you. Spirituality for me is about just increasing self-awareness, seeing where I can be a better person, and using these tools to help me deepen that. So not as an escape, not to run away, but to really go and do the work. So I have this challenge in my life, or I have this feeling coming up. I'm going to use the plant medicine or the breath work to explore that deeper, to sit in that feeling and try to see if like, oh, is there something here that I couldn't see? Something in my subconscious mind or in my shadow or my periphery that is actually holding me back from being the person I'm meant to be, which I think is a spiritual being, because we all are, okay? And many of the religions, at their roots, you can find these kind of like clues that look like they were inspired at some point by psychedelics in some way. You know, the burning bush, Moses, that was an acacia plant, high in DMT. And it's in the area, there was two plants, almost like ayahuasca, that you mix together and you have these visions. Jesus, you know, there's a lot of references to Jesus turning water into wine. Was it, you know, mushroom tea? You know, was he a shaman? He kind of went to India for all these years from like, I think 10 or 13 to 30. And he did a lot of meditation and fasting, ways to alter your state to kind of go inward. Soma, the ancient plant, in some of the Eastern traditions, you know, what was it? You know, Eleusis in Greek traditions, where they would go and have these visions. And I think that the powers that be tried to cut off that connection for us to connect directly, because it put them in as the control, the middleman between you and the creator, God. So is psychedelics the only way? Definitely not. Is it a way to help us increase self-awareness, to see our attachments, to see where the ego and the fear is kind of showing up, and how to kind of start working to dissolve that so that we can be more in alignment with our truth? I think absolutely so. So I have a documentary called Psyched Out. It's all about plant medicine. It's on this channel. I'll put the end card here. Check it out. Let me know what you think. Do you agree, disagree? Love to hear your comments below. Thanks for listening. And again, I'm Gio, founder of Elemental Rhythm. And if you want to dive into breathwork, check out our channel, our website, elementalrhythm.com, for amazing resources on breathwork, great for prepping for psychedelics, post-psychedelics, or no psychedelics at all.